The most emotionally gifted people on this planet, the ones who can walk into a room and feel everything, are sitting alone tonight. Not because they failed at connection, because they succeeded too well at it. Here's what nobody will tell you about being a powerful empath: your greatest strength is the exact reason people slowly, quietly, deliberately disappear from your life. And by the end of this, you won't just understand why, you'll understand what your nervous system has been trying to protect you from all along. Drop a one in the comments right now if you've ever felt like the most alone person in a crowded room full of people who call themselves your friends. The human brain runs on prediction. Every relationship you have is fundamentally a prediction machine. Your brain is constantly asking, what will this person do next? Can I trust this pattern? Is this safe? Now, here's where it gets psychologically devastating for the empath. You are unpredictable not because you are, chaotic, but because you're deep. You process information on four levels simultaneously while most people are still reading the surface. You pick up micro expressions, you hear what isn't said. You feel the emotional undertow beneath a casual sentence like, I'm fine, and that depth, that extraordinary neurological gift, makes you fundamentally threatening to the average human nervous system. People don't abandon powerful empaths because they dislike them. They abandon them because being around a powerful empath feels, on a subconscious level, like being seen without consent. When you're around someone, you don't just observe them, you register them. You catch the flicker of dishonesty before they finish the sentence. You feel the resentment they're hiding behind a smile. You sense when someone is performing friendship rather than living it. Most people have spent years building a carefully constructed social mask, and you walk in without saying a word, without accusing anyone of anything, and that mask trembles. They don't know, but they feel that and so they leave. There is a psychological phenomenon called social homeostasis. People are drawn to relationships that maintain their internal emotional equilibrium, enough stimulation to feel alive, but not so much that their nervous system gets dysregulated. Powerful empaths destroy social homeostasis, not violently, quietly, over time. In the beginning, people are magnetically attracted to the empath. You've experienced this. Within hours of meeting someone, they're telling you things they've never told anyone. There is a neurochemical explanation. Empaths create felt safety, a state in which the other person's nervous system relaxes, their defenses drop, and authentic emotion rises to the surface. This feels wonderful. For them, it feels like finally being understood. But here's the hidden cost. When people experience that level of emotional openness, they often wake up the next morning, feeling exposed, vulnerable, naked in a way they didn't consciously agree to. And the mind, being the incredible self protection machine that it is, begins to construct a story. It looks for someone to blame for that vulnerability. And too often it lands on the empath, not because you did anything wrong, because you did everything right. You were present, you were deep, you were real. And real is terrifying to someone who has spent a lifetime building comfortable illusions. There are three stages that powerful empaths experience in almost every significant friendship. Once you see them, you'll recognize them everywhere in your past. Stage one, the gravitational pull. This is the honeymoon phase, the part where the other person is drawn irresistibly toward your warmth, your understanding, your ability to hold their pain without flinching. They feel chosen by you. They feel special in your presence. You give generously emotional insight that would cost hundreds of dollars from a therapist. Time, presence, the rarest commodity in the modern world, genuine attention. Stage two, the unconscious threat assessment. As the friendship deepens, the other person's nervous system begins to take stock of what this relationship actually demands of them. And it demands something most people are terrifyingly unequipped for: reciprocal depth. To be friends with a powerful empath, you eventually have to show up as your real self, not your curated persona, your actual self with its fears, its contradictions, its unresolved wounds, its quiet shames. Most people do not want to do that work. The modern world has given them 10,000 ways to avoid it, scroll, binge, perform busyness, maintain 17 surface level friendships that never cost a single moment of real self examination. And then there's you quietly, gently, effortlessly requiring that they be real. So unconsciously, they begin to manufacture distance. Stage three, the slow disappearance. This is the stage. Oh, that breaks empaths, not the dramatic falling out, not the explosive argument, the slow fade, the text that gets shorter, the plans that keep almost happening, the sense that something invisible has shifted and you can feel it because, of course, you can, but you cannot name it. And when you try to address it, they say nothing's wrong with total conviction because for them, nothing is consciously wrong. They are simply following their nervous system's quiet instruction to seek lower ground, to find friendships that cost less. And the empath is left alone again, not abandoned, not hated, just quietly set down like something too heavy to carry. If this is cutting through something you've carried alone for years, hit that subscribe button right now because this channel exists for people like you. Share this with one empath in your life who needs to hear they are not broken. The next video will change how you understand every relationship you've ever had. You are profoundly gifted at receiving the emotional experience of others. You can sit with someone in their grief and not try to fix it. You can hold space for emotions that would send most people running for the exit. But when you are in pain, something in you goes silent. There's a neurological reason for this. Powerful empaths develop hyperactivated mentalizing networks, brain structures responsible for modeling other people's mental states. In high functioning empaths, these networks are almost perpetually online. You are always processing the emotional world of those around you. The cost is that your own emotional signals get drowned out. Your nervous system is so busy receiving other people's broadcasts that your own distress signal struggles to break through. So when you're suffering, the default response is not to reach out, it's to go inward, to process alone, to disappear into the interior labyrinth of your own extraordinary mind. The people who genuinely want to be there for you don't know you need. Oh, them because you give nothing away, because you have trained yourself through years of absorbing everyone else's need to become emotionally invisible in your own pain. And so even the friendships that might have survived quietly erode because no friendship can thrive on one way giving. And the empath, despite everything, is often the architect of their own loneliness. Here's something operating entirely below your conscious awareness, possibly the single most important thing in this entire speech. Powerful empaths develop over time an unconscious avoidance mechanism around deep friendship. Every time you open yourself to genuine connection, every time you showed your real self, allowed yourself to need someone, something went wrong. The other person pulled back, couldn't handle it, used your vulnerability against you, or simply couldn't match the depth you were offering. Your nervous system keeps score. It keeps a meticulous, completely unconscious record of every time. So, genuine connection led to pain, and gradually, without any conscious decision, it begins to preemptively protect you. It starts selecting people who are emotionally unavailable because unavailable people are predictably disappointing. And predictable disappointment is less threatening than the terrifying possibility of genuine connection followed by genuine loss. In other words, you may be unconsciously engineering your own isolation, not out of weakness, not out of damage, but out of the most sophisticated self protection mechanism the human psyche is capable of producing. You have learned that being seen fully leads to being left completely. And so, somewhere very deep inside, you have decided without deciding that it is safer to remain unseen. And the saddest part, you can feel yourself doing it. You can feel the glass wall going up even as you're smiling and engaging. And you cannot stop it because it isn't coming from your conscious mind. It's coming from something far older, far more primal, the part of your neurology that has only one priority: keep this organism from breaking. Chronic emotional isolation does something measurable to the empath psychology. This is not abstract. This has real physiological consequences. Research in effective neuroscience shows that chronic emotional suppression, feeling deeply but expressing minimally, leads to measurable changes in the brain's regulatory capacity. When you spend years absorbing enormous emotional data and having nowhere to discharge it, your ability to regulate that emotional load begins to degrade. This is why many powerful empaths begin to experience emotional flooding that seems out of proportion to the present moment. You cry at a television commercial. You feel a stranger's loneliness so acutely it derails your afternoon. You absorb the emotional atmosphere of a room like a human barometer and spend 3 days recovering from a dinner party. This is not weakness. This is your nervous. Oh, system sending an emergency signal. Human beings require co regulation, the process of having our nervous system calm through contact with another regulated nervous system. Infants cannot regulate their own emotional states, they require an attuned caregiver. Adults still need versions of this. Powerful empaths who spend most of their relational energy providing co regulation for others often go months, sometimes years, without receiving it themselves. The result is a nervous system perpetually dysregulated, perpetually working at full capacity, perpetually on the edge of overwhelm. And from the outside, it looks like someone who is too intense, too sensitive, too much. So the world that already struggles with the empath's depth finds another reason to step back, and the cycle continues. Let me name 5 specific psychological patterns that keep even the most self aware empaths locked in isolation, not as diagnosis, as recognition. One, the competence mask. Powerful empaths will often develop exceptional professional or intellectual ability as armor. If I am visibly excellent, I will be valued without being truly seen. The competence mask protects. It also isolates. Two, the helper's deflection. Every time a conversation could turn toward your actual inner world, you redirect it toward the other person's needs. Not because you're manipulative, but because helping is genuinely what you're good at, and being helped feels genuinely dangerous. You deflect care with questions. You convert intimacy into assistance. Three, the premature disclosure. Some empaths, in an unconscious attempt to test the other person's capacity for depth, overshare early in a relationship, not from lack of boundaries, but to rapidly assess, can this person handle reality? Most people are overwhelmed before the friendship has built the structure to support that weight. The empath reads this as confirmation that depth is unwelcome. Both walk away. For the disappearing act, when the empath's emotional load reaches a critical threshold, they vanish. They go quiet, cancel plans, retreat. From the outside, this looks like rejection or disinterest. The friendship dies not from conflict, but from silence. Five, the standard nobody told you about. Somewhere in your history, you developed a template for what real connection actually feels like based on the most genuine moments you've ever experienced. And you have been measuring every relationship against it ever since. Nothing passes. Not because nothing is good enough, but because that template includes the feeling of being fully met. And fully met is incredibly rare. Your isolation is not evidence of your failure at human connection. It is evidence of the extraordinary standard your nervous system has developed for what real connection actually means. You have felt even briefly, even imperfectly, what genuine human contact feels like, in your body, the difference between a relationship built on mutual truth and one built on mutual performance. And once you know that difference, the performance becomes unbearable. You are not alone because you are too much. You are alone because you have refused to accept too little. And in a world that has normalized emotional superficiality as the cost of social belonging, that refusal is an act of profound, quiet, radical integrity. But integrity without connection is just loneliness with a philosophy. The real work for the powerful empath is not to become less, it is to develop the capacity to tolerate being seen by the rare people who can actually handle your reality, to stop apologizing for needing depth, to rebuild slowly and carefully the evidence that genuine connection is not just possible, it is survivable. to do the hardest thing you will ever do. Let someone see you, not to test them, not from behind the competence mask, actually, genuinely, with your real face on, in the full knowledge that they might not be able to hold what they see, to sit with the terrifying, liberating truth that even if they can't, even if they flinch or fade or quietly disappear, you will survive it because you have survived everything else they called too much. Powerful empaths have no friends, not because they are unloved, not because they are too much, but because real friendship, the kind that actually matches what they have to offer, is the rarest thing on earth. And they have spent their entire lives knowing in some wordless part of themselves that what most people call friendship is simply not what they came here for. You came here for something real. You came here to meet someone, maybe just one who could look at the full weight of who you are and not look away. That person exists, and they are just as alone as you are tonight. And they are sitting somewhere watching something like this, thinking, finally, someone said it. That's the speech. Go find your one.